Part 2. Next question, Paul.
Which was the decision not to play bass was a deliberate one.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I mean, it was quite an easy decision to make because I thought the music we're doing is not, I suppose in a funny kind of way, when the Alarm were making music, it's Smalltown Glory comes from the same place, but it's different. So it's heartfelt and it's genuine in the way we approach it, but it's a different style. I didn't want to try and make the two. It's like, oh, sounds like the Alarm. No, it's not meant to. And I think in a funny kind of way, not playing bass is another one of those things that you add into the mix, something completely different.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because when you're playing with your mates and they do something, thinking, that's really good. I didn't expect that. I came out of the blue. That was really.
I want to see it live, though. Yeah.
It's a really good line. How did you do that? And he's thinking, And then Paul was going to Charlie. Goes, you kept saying, because Paul's a really good guitar player.
Yeah.
He really is. He's really stunningly good. I think he doesn't quite know how good he is. I do. But I think again he's very modest with it. And he and Charlie were like, talking about this bass line. And I couldn't work out what he was trying to get him to do. So if he'd asked me to do it, I'd have probably really struggled. And then Charlie did it quite easily. And he goes, oh yeah, I can see, Charlie's a bit posh. And he goes, yeah, I know what you mean. It's great. He should be on TV, he's brilliant. And he just played it, and I just think that's really brilliant.
Right.
And he's just so talented. I just go, I wish you had your looks. I wish you had your talent. And more importantly, I wish you had your voice. Because he's got a great voice for radio.
Cool.
Fantastic. I get him to do all the interviews.
I noticed that on the credits, there's a few names there that Alarm fans will remember. So I was curious about Jeff Trott.
Yeah.
Obviously Wire Train, and then latterly Cheryl Cole and a few others, but why the credit on this particular record?
Because Jeff Trott was probably when I started writing songs again, I spoke to Jeff about it because I know he'd been incredibly successful. I know he's a good friend of Nige because they don't live far, he lives in LA, and they do sort of connect, and obviously through Carl Wallinger they sort of know each other, everybody knows each other sort of thing. I know Carl as well. And so what happened was Jeff was the one person who basically got me into recording again.
Right.
And we were going to work together on material. But you know what? At the time when I first started doing this project, which it was just songs, it wasn't a project at the time. Once the songs were in place, it then became a project.
Yeah.
So initially it was just songwriting. And so I spoke to Jeff when we were going to work together to do bits and bobs, and he was really, really good. But I felt I was a bit slow at picking up on the technology side of it. He said to me, get Pro Tools, learn Pro Tools, and then what we can do, we can swap files and we can work on material. In other words, you can just upload
transatlantically.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And get some ideas together. And so basically, thanks to him, I basically became Pro Tools savvy.
Right.
To do that. And so by the time I was working on it, I was thinking he was already busy on another project at that point because it's taken me so long to do it.
Yeah.
So really, even though Smalltown Glory was like a 2-year project, to get it to where it is now, a year prior to that I was still working on ideas and songs and trying to learn things.
Yeah.
So in a sense he was quite responsible in actually pushing me in the right direction and making me focus on the technology side of it.
Very
so that was really good. But then there was another big story which nearly happened, and I'm really sad it didn't, because basically what happened when I written the songs, there's another chap on the record called Carl Wallinger, people know from World Party. Well, what happened was I contacted Carl, and because I'm not a singer, I don't see myself as a singer, I never have, I'm not a front person. I don't mind sort of filling in a few odd minutes here and there, you know what I mean? I'm not very good with banter or anything like that, or can't tell jokes. I was working with Hugh Dennis yesterday, off this, was it Punt and Dennis?
Oh yeah.
All right.
And I tell you what, when you hear people who can really deliver a gag on stage,
Right.
Bloody hell, he was good. Very, very clever. And I suddenly thought that what as a front man should be, because he can deliver it and everybody's hanging on every word he said.
Yeah.
And I thought I found that really difficult to do. Very, very hard. But to cut long story short, what happened was I approached Carl, I approached Dave, and I approached Nige and said, right, well, basically, you guys have all played together. I
Yep.
said, why don't the four of us get together and do something?
Wow.
Which everybody got really, really excited about, right? But the more we talked about it, we realised it was going to be really difficult to do, because obviously Dave's in Manchester, Carl's sort of in London, is in Spain. It's going to be hard. Whatever we try and do, it's going to be really difficult. So basically, I sent stuff off to Carl, and he sent it back, and we were backwards and forwards and bits and few ideas here and there. And then I realised it was actually going to be really impossible to do it, because I went to see Dave in Manchester, spoke to Nige spoke to Carl, and it was sort of moving forward.
Right.
But I realised it was going to be really difficult to do it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think Carl suddenly thought, you know what, I better get my finger out and do my world party thing and get it back on the road again, because he hadn't really been out on the road. And I think as a catalyst from that, he went out and started doing gigs again.
What are we talking about?
This is about 2 years ago, just before we actually started Smalltown Glory. So this is the precursor to it.
Yeah.
And that's why Nigel's involved in this as well, because obviously we're talking about it and talking about songs.
Yeah.
And that was it, really. So, other names on it?
Now, there's actually a third
There's a
name.
There's a Pete Cole that cropped in
There's
there.
a Pete
It's not the
Cole
Pete
in
Cole
there.
in the car, it's
I
another
just-
Pete Cole. He's the barber.
He's the legend of
So I'll have a
Farmer
question.
Groove. Okay. What? Too much focus on you.
Yeah. Go on.
Did you say you want to ask a
Yeah,
question?
go on.
Sorry. Yeah.
No,
I misheard you. We got all the questions. Beg your pardon.
I can read them now.
Oh, God, here we go. There you go.
Alan Arthur would like to know, when do we actually get to see Smalltown Glory live?
That's a good question, actually. When we did the pledge thing, they said to us, why don't you put an acoustic gig on and do something like that? And I said, okay, like you do, because it seems like a good idea at the time. And I thought it through and suddenly thought, you know what, I don't want to take Smalltown Glory out live until, one, we've got at least an hour's material that is our material that people know, because I don't want... What we haven't got is what you call the hits to play. The one thing we were very fortunate, again, back in the Alarm, is when we used to go out and do new songs and play about 3 or 4 songs from a new potential up and coming album.
Yeah.
Well, if it didn't go well, we always had the songs that people did know to fall back on.
Yeah.
And there is an element of, like, people want to like it, but they're getting into it. And I suddenly thought, if you're taking a band out for the first time, what I don't want, to be honest with you, is everyone going, don't know this one, don't know that one, don't know this. What's that? What's he doing? Is he going to do about 4 or 5 Alarm covers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? And I suddenly thought, you know what? What I want to do is get into a room where people want to hear the music, know the songs, and really up for it. Because we'll be up for it, and if you're up for it, then we'll have a great night.
So another EP of
Yeah.
new songs.
Absolutely. And it feels like a long-winded way of saying not yet, but I just want it to be... I didn't want it to be like a good analogy. It was like when you go to a wedding full of strangers, everyone's trying to be nice to each other, sort of saying hello, and it's all a bit hi, stand. Yeah, it's not quite with all there for the same reason, and it's not about size, it's not about success, it's about familiarity. It's the idea of going there for a night out, and everyone can relax, knowing that you're going to go and hear stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the odd one that might pop up here and again, that that may be a new one, but generally speaking, the body of the gig will be songs that people know.
Yeah.
Because I know that people have listened to the EP. They haven't sort of said, you've got one song, and the fact it's on a CD, people can listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So in a sense, that people are enjoying the whole EP rather than just one track.
Yeah.
So in that sense, when the next EP comes out, they'll have about 10 or 12 tracks that people have heard. And that's going to be making for a really good gig.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, that the next EP has got to be as good or better than we just done. I don't want it to be anything less.
I'm sure it will be.
So I mean, that's it. I mean, so when it comes, I want to be as excited about playing it live. I want to be really confident and excited about playing it live, because I need the confidence, because I haven't done it in that sense. Because you put your heart and soul on that stage when you get on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you don't feel 100% about something, it's always going to distract you.
Have you got sort of thoughts on the sort of size of venues, the type of venues?
Nah, not at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I like with the EP, I think we've gone for what you call erring on modesty, because what's the point of being a big head? You love the work you do and you care passionately about it, and then you want to, if you play somewhere that's too big, for your ego's sake, or for someone else telling us, like back to the sounds thing, you ought to do this. I think you just got to follow your own instincts and then play somewhere you think is right. Whether if you're playing to 50 people, playing to 100 people, to me, it's more. I'd rather play to a place that feels right.
Yeah.
That it sounds good. First of all, it's got to sound good.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's got to look good. Yeah. And then hopefully, if we all feel good, we'll have a bloody great night.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, one thing is about playing one gig. A bit like Woodstock. You couldn't tour Woodstock. It's a one night only. But we all know about it, and it's legendary.
Yeah.
And yes, we probably could film it, and it would probably do more miles for us filming it properly than trying to take Smalltown Glory out on tour.
Yeah.
Because we always said the hardest thing is going to be, because Paul's got a family, so is Charlie, and the idea of touring like we used to, it's not going to happen.
No.
It's got to be realistic. Our age and everything else is just probably not going to happen.
It'll be a weekend, isn't it?
It's a weekend. Yeah, Saturday night. There again, which is brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Everyone in bed. But I mean, and that, in a sense, that it's probably not a bad thing, because you're not trying to draw something, thin it out. You go and play in the middle of nowhere, no one's heard of you.
I've got a couple of places in mind.
I've done that one already. I remember we used to go down this as 17. I mean, everyone knows more about the alarm, but really, the alarm would never have happened had it not been for 17. 17 was a really important catalyst in everything that the alarm ever did. Yeah. The structure of it, the energy, the people we met, the people we played with. You know what I mean? And they're the ones that really shaped the group.
Yeah.
Because that was all our apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And we used to play, honestly, we play anywhere, anytime, doing anything.
Didn't 17 have connections with the Stone Roses? Was it Manny?
Don't think so.
I think you played with one of his bands. Did I use this?
Did he? I don't know.
I think 17 gigged with the band he was in before the Stone Roses.
No idea.
So I'm sure.
We'll have to we'll put that one out there. We'll have to do a bit of research on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. This is where probably Mike would probably know, because he's like the sort of the Bill Wyman of it. He's like knows every bit of history out there. But I must admit, don't know. I spent all my time in the room writing the tunes. I was definitely not the party monster.
The album did come out finally, didn't it? On Vinyl Japan.
Yeah.
It's a cracking album.
I've never heard it. I've never seen it either. That's another story. Never been paid for it either.
Oh no!
Don't worry about it. That's rock and roll. But it's really we had such a great time doing 17. I'm glad we weren't successful as 17, because we've probably it wouldn't have probably gone anywhere, because we weren't ready to be successful. But my God, what a great apprenticeship it was. We had such fun. It was such a great team effort, and it wasn't just about the four of us in the band. There was about 6 or 7 of us, and we went up and down the country playing. We would got 3 tons in Kingston. We'd go somewhere on the south coast. You know what I mean? Play to about 4, like the police used to. All the stories about the police playing to about 4 and 5 people and get the audience to introduce themselves. It was that. We did a south coast tour, and literally, but I can't remember who it was. It's somewhere near Chichester. I think we played to about 5 people. But but you know what?
It was great.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It was just the fact that we were playing and we loved the thing we were doing. And
still love "Don't Let Go" and "Bank Holiday Weekend." It's a cracking thing.
Classic. They were pop.
Wicked songs.
That was on a compilation recently, wasn't it? Maybe you don't know about that either.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was used on some mod compilation.
Yeah, but I'm surprised. I mean,
a couple of years.
Yeah, we played.
Well, I still want to know about your old band.
Yeah, I know. I mean, here you go. I can tell you about the gigs. I mean, when we used to play a lot in Hastings. We played, I think, twice in Hastings Pier at the mod convention. supporting Secret Affair, and it wasn't the Chords, it was possibly Squire or someone else.
Well, they're from Woking as well.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest with you, they're all really, really nice lads. I mean, obviously, you know, Secret Affair were like the pop stars of the sort of thing, weren't they? They were on top of the
Ian
pops and all
Page.
that, yeah. You know, I mean, we were never really a true mod. We didn't have one Rickenbacker in the band for a start. I mean, come on. I mean, we're pushing it. Nah, no, I don't think we had that either. And we often got rumbled. It was strange. You think, you know, but I mean, the songs we wrote worked in gigs. I mean, you went down pretty well in all the gigs we played. And then we went on tour with the Stray Cats, right? And that was the funniest, honestly, the best experience any sort of kid could ever want, because they were really hot at the time. But what we didn't realise, I just thought when they had that song called Runaway Boys, they were going to cross over to a bit more of a, you know, they were a really cool looking band. I mean, sort of, if the Clash had sort of come from New York or sort of Brooklyn, they'd have sort of looked like the Stray Cats, you know what I mean? And they were brilliant blokes, absolutely great fun to play with. And just touring with them, it was just outrageous. It was just like, it was rock and roll.
Yeah.
In every single book you'll ever read on rock and roll, it was the Stray Cats. We were from
I've heard
real.
the story about the bag of white stuff Mike was asked to look after.
Oh, God. Bloody hell. All I can say is that was just the tip of the iceberg. It was outrageous. But you know what? We learnt so much. You know what I mean? And they're to blame for the hair. So I'll be honest with it. The hair-raising experience is all thanks to the Stray Cats.
Excellent.
It wasn't Robert Smith, I'm afraid. I'd love to say it was cool, but it wasn't. It was all to do for Brian Setzer, really. Let's be honest about
He
it.
was a cool looking dude.
Yeah, it was great. And those days basically shaped us as people. So when 17 didn't make it, we sort of went back to rethink everything through. That was probably the best thing. That gap that happened, it was like, you know, opening a, sort of Mike and I sort of opened the gallery, and
Didn't discharge, could smash it up.
yeah, well, they beat me to a pulp. It wasn't them. It was just, you know, youths. And it's just like, you know what I mean, I was just trying to protect the club that, you know, we'd built. And if you care passionately about something, you know, you'll give it your all. I remember one night was these guys trying to Gaz Top was DJing, and his taste in music was pretty good, so I wouldn't say it was the reason why, but they're just trying to smash something up that, you know, for the sake of it. And I got a hell of a beating, but you know what, live to fight another day, as they say.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd light back on again.
Yeah.
Second light. You see what I did there? Right. Your turn, Paul.
Don't do the third light, I'll be all over the place.
Okay, well,
Just on your fingers.
we're going to whip through. These questions that have come in response to Pete's appeal for questions. So Sean Finney asks, what happened to the book about tattoos that
Good question.
Eddie was reportedly writing?
Good question. Very good question. The book of tattoos changed my life. Came back off that tour when basically off the Raw tour. I had this idea. I've been researching around America, trying to find. I was going to get a tattoo in America. You know, I was going to finally succumb to being rock boy. And I got talking to the guys from Guns N' Roses, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, you should go down this place, down sort of somewhere in Hollywood to get it done." I went, "All right, great." And so of course I trundled off on that. We were playing in LA that night, and I thought, like you do, I always do these things just on the night of the gig. You should never get a tattoo a night when you're about to do a gig. It's a really stupid idea. So anyway, I went off and got his tattoo, and the guy who told me to do it wasn't there. Right, so I had this other bloke who stepped in and he did a really shit tattoo. It was really shit. But of course, you know what I mean, he goes, he showed me the design. I thought, well, maybe it's going to look better when it's on your arm. Nah, not really, didn't. But anyway, so I thought, great. I'd spent probably 6 months of that tour basically trolling around all around America, buying up books, going into the history of tattoos and everything else. So when I came back to the UK, I had this idea about musicians and tattoos, because it seemed to be growing momentum at the time. And I took it to Virgin Books, and they loved it, and they said it was fantastic, but it was going to be expensive to do, because we could either buy the pictures in, or I really wanted to take pictures, because I found I've got to ask the guys why have you had the tattoo, what it's about, what it means, who did it, blah 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 blah. And I decided to go to college to learn how to take the photographs, And by the time I'd spent my 2.5 years in college, it was already over. The time had gone. So at that point onwards, I thought, shit, I've got all this knowledge. I'm now a photographer. And from that point onwards, that's basically, I was stuck to photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember, this is like a quick subsidiary, Pete. I can remember a quote from you, maybe around 88, 89. I think there was a sort of camera, just a very sort of amateurish camera, just filming the alarm each night. And I can remember there was a quote, I think it was attributed to you, just saying it's great to have a sort of a third eye on the band. It's great to be able, because we don't actually see ourselves, we don't see an alarm gig, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously that kind of visual stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was always involved. I mean, on the visual side, I suppose I was always involved with the artwork and stuff like that as well. I mean, the Strength sleeve to me was the most appalling sleeve ever. I hated it. So at that point onwards, I got involved, and for instance, I pulled in a photographer called Spencer Rowell, who was at the time, he was more famous actually for. Was it the Athena man with holding a baby shot?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of put him on the map. And a mate of mine, Steve Stretton, who was working at an agency, said, "Oh yeah, we can get Spencer, and I'll design the sleeve." And that point onwards, we started getting more and more involved with the artwork, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I worked closely with photographers going through that, and that's when my sort of, I think the love of it came in as well, because to me it was a mystery. It was a bit of how do they do that? How do they do this? Like recording. If I don't know how things are done, I want to try and dismantle it to understand it, and then I can either use it or I can at least have an opinion. Yeah. And that was it, really.
Thank you. Right. Catherine Simpson. Would Eddie write anything with MP again?
I did. I sent Mike some. I wrote a song called "Power to Overcome" that we once played when I got together with Mike a long time ago, where we did the music for the play Flesh and Blood. Because Mike came to me and said, "Look, I've got these songs. Can you help me put it all together?"
Yep.
And as a lady I was working at the time called Jill Edwards Jones, and we actually were about to try and do our own record. And it was completely different. Again, it was so far away from anything that the Alarm were doing. It was a million miles. Whether it was just purpose, I don't know. But Mike heard what we were doing, and he was really into it. And he thought, great, I want to try and get Eddie involved and Jill, and they're going to put this project together. And so I'd been working on this song at the time. And I then spoke to Mike probably about 2 years ago and said, "Look, have you got any lyrics for this? Help me put some lyrics together." And I think he was on tour. I think he was doing Big Country at the time, and it just didn't feel right. I just didn't think that it just didn't feel the best of Mike, and it wasn't the best of me. So I thought at that point, do you know what, we have done our time, and I thought probably it's best to go off and thinking, you've got to realise these things yourself.
Yeah.
So that was it, really. Never say never, but unlikely. Yeah.
Sure.
Can I just do a part 3 now?